Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats where we've been going live on weekdays to talk about issues that families need to know to keep their kids educated and happy and safe during the pandemic. And we know it's been a challenging year, but it seems like things are looking up. And today we're covering a topic about related to health. And our guest today is Dr. Tamyra Rogers of Dr. Rogers Centers. And she wrote a guest post today, and you can find the link to the guest post in the description of the video. So I encourage you to click through, and there's lots of great advice in there. And what we asked her to cover was health and wellness for kids, how to keep our kids safe and healthy in spite of the pandemic, as the world starts to reopen and maybe kids are going back to school on campus, or we're looking at camps or activities, how to boost their immune system. So there's lots of great advice in Dr. Rogers' post, and I'm really looking forward to talking about it with her today. Thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited.
Okay, so well, first, before we dive into like the details of the post, I just want to ask you you have a great, I put it at the bottom of the post, your bio, your experience, like you have a passion about helping kids be healthy, fighting obesity. Like you've been an athlete yourself, and you've worked in communities where obesity was really a challenge. And so I was wondering if you talk more about like that passion and, what drives you to want to help children and families be healthier.
Yeah, usually, when we look at it, especially like when I was working on the Navajo reservation and the Indian reservations, it's part of the culture. Sometimes it is lower incomes. And so the subsidy of foods that we give people and the choices that they have, out there was sheep, there wasn't cows, and, they got rice and like a Spam and cheddar blocks, and bought tons of rice in 40-pound bags. And so at that point, it wasn't a lack of education. It was more of, we just had to show new options. And so we started going to actually the trade post, and we started going to the Navajo Indians and the Pinyon Indians and all the different Indians, and going to the flea markets. And we started teaching them easier ways to cook their soups and their meals that are more nutritious without having so much of the carbohydrates, like with the Indian tacos, and how to get the fat off the meat. So it was really just starting to retrain and give them another thought about how to impact themselves, because they're all very hardworking and they all exercise all the time. But it was just some nutritional tidbits that they could utilize just to become healthier. It's kind of really where it all started.
Yeah. And, I think that experience, that's very relevant to what, a lot of children have been experiencing during the pandemic. And, and we've seen that, one of the better ways to prevent, serious complications from COVID is to come at it already healthy and closer to an ideal weight. And, so, it's something I'm really happy that you have this expertise and this passion, and that you're helping families in San Antonio. I know that's one of the topics you cover in the post, is about healthy eating and stuff. I wanted to cover some of the other tips in the post. Well, I guess first of all, I'm wondering what questions are you hearing from families, like as like they're saying, okay, well, I want to put my kids back in school, or I want to put my kids in camps, and so what kinds of questions are they asking? Like, are they asking about face masks and whether it's important to keep wearing those?
Yeah, the face mask is a big issue. And I guess I kind of think about it a couple of ways. The face mask obviously works really well against the flu, because nobody has had the flu, But then my question is, well, how is everybody wearing face masks and everybody got COVID? So I think that's what everybody kind of thinks about. But I think what I've seen and how I try to rationalize the face mask is that, and to the kids, and my kids, I have triplets. I have 3 12-year-old kids that wear a face mask every day going to school. Is that what I believe the face mask does is it decreases the inoculum. It decreases the amount of the virus that you take in. Therefore, if you don't get a lot of the virus, when you do get infected, I feel like you have a better chance of recovery. And so that's why I think it's important to still continue to wear the mask. I think with the sporting events, and that seems to be where a little bit more of the kids, I think, are could be, getting it to other kids. I think it seems like in the schools, it's not, just following my children in the school. It's not really happening at the school. It's happening at home, and then a child brings it. And then the children are a little bit more asymptomatic with it. So we'll see what's going to happen with the new variant. So I think it's a little bit worrisome. They seem to be affecting kids more than what we have right now. So that's worrisome. So I think right now, you know what, we wear the mask and we keep going. Our numbers are down. But maybe at the beginning of the new year, if we really can develop that herd immunity and everybody gets the vaccinations, the teachers are going to be, more comfortable with the vaccinations. Maybe we're going to be able to go back and not have to wear the mask. So I think that would be the best outcome. Is that we could all go back in August, or kids can go back in August and not have to wear the mask.
Yeah, that's I've been kind of checking in with the schools that we work with a lot and asking them, like, what do you know about the fall? And like what they're telling me is that there's a lot they still don't know. Like they don't know what the Texas Education Agency is going to require them to do. They don't know what the recommendations will be. They're kind of preparing to offer distance learning in case there's another surge, right, because of the variant. But right, so there's a lot of uncertainty, but I think there's also a lot of optimism that things will be better.
And I think a lot of the optimism, comes with the vaccines. And I think it's hard to accept the vaccine. And I understand, kind of thinking, do I get it? Do I not? I went ahead and got the vaccine. I did the Moderna. As far as looking at the vaccines for my children, I was really hopeful with the Johnson & Johnson. I've been reading the articles in JAMA that showed really the Johnson & Johnson vaccine seems to be like a great option for people under 40 that have a good immune system. It was one shot, but now that we're getting these secondary side effects, it's very worrisome. So, I'm kind of leaning toward maybe the Pfizer for my children because it has been studied in the youth. So I'm just waiting on that data to come out. But I do think with that Johnson & Johnson, with those cerebral events, it looks like it's not any more than what's in our normal population. And so that's what they have to go back and look at. Is this happening more, or we're just finding it right now because we're looking for it?
Right.
So,
right. It's like is there a correlation between people getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and then going to Starbucks? Right. It's like, well, some of them would have gone to Starbucks anyway, right? Or yeah. So there's right. So it's kind of a numbers thing, right? It's like these events are going to happen in the population, but are they happening at a higher rate after people get the Johnson & Johnson?
Or are we going to find out? It seems like it is happening more with females that may be on contraceptives, so the youth maybe that aren't on, so maybe we find the population that's not a good candidate for it. So I'm glad they're doing that. I want to step back and look at it even before I give it to my children. But I think if I don't have that, I think my next thought will be maybe inoculating them with the Pfizer vaccine. And then we go from there,
Yeah. So I get dose 2 of Pfizer on Monday. I'm really looking forward to that. Dose 1 had minimal side effects. I've heard that dose 2 can have more side effects. I'm kind of bracing myself for that, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it seems like from our patients, the Pfizer has been a little bit better as far as the side effects. The Moderna seems to have quite a punch. That second one, your arm is really sore. And I've had some people that have had the rash 2 to 3 weeks out. So I think we just stay very, alert with it, and we monitor the side effects. I do think I would say with people that got the Johnson & Johnson, especially females, I have some of my patients coming in. I got the Johnson & Johnson. If they can, I tell them stay really well hydrated because we don't want to clot. And then maybe if you can tolerate taking an aspirin, then take a baby aspirin or a full aspirin to keep your blood thinner right now until we just find out more information is what I'd suggest.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that's when I want to talk about one of the other tips that you brought up in the post. Okay. So we've just been talking about the masks and of course the vaccines, impacting the risk assessment. But in the blog post, you talk about the importance of hand washing. And I think that's something that it's always been a good recommendation. It prevents the flu and colds and, other infectious diseases, but it's really been a big emphasis as a way to prevent coronavirus. So I guess, what advice do you have about hand washing? Just do it a lot, be really thorough.
Yeah, definitely hand washing, I think, is great. I think, if the kids can't have the hand washing, they all love the really cute little animals and stuff they have for the, the sanitizing gels that they keep on their backpacks, I think are great. I think a great way to teach a child how to do hand washing is let them go out, put their hands in the mud and the dirt and get them completely done. And then bring them inside and say, okay, I'm going to give you some soap and let's see how long it takes you to get all of the dirt off your hands. Just like we do with the teeth, when you put the red stuff on their mouth and then you have them brushed to really show them how much they missed, right? So I think that's an easy and a fun illustration. They'll love to go stick their hands in the dirt and really show them how effective the hand washing can be. Look, you got everything off of you, just as if you were touching everything and got germs. So I think it's just a great way. And I think the schools have been really good with, they've got hand washing stations. They've got, the teachers are cleaning the desk. I mean, the schools are cleaner than they've ever been, and I think in a lot of my school teachers, they don't really have anybody sick at school. There's probably less absences of kids that have gone to school than they've ever had before once they come in person. So, I mean, it's obviously working, but that's a fun exercise to try to get them to, just wash their hands.
I've heard about that. The way I heard it was like, what if this might be an outdoor activity, depending on how you feel about glitter, but some people have said, just like cover their hands with glitter and then have them like wash off glitter.
Yeah,
glitter, it can be really hard to wash off glitter.
whatever you want to do there. Yeah, would be a really good activity for them, for sure.
Yeah. No, I think everyone's going to be more aware of hygiene after this. And I was kind of a germaphobe before, and I felt like I was kind of the outlier sometimes. And now I feel like the rest of the world has come in my direction.
Right. I know. I think, everybody just washing their hands. It's just a good health habit, I guess you could kind of say. Yeah, it is. So another great tip that you have in the blog post is talking about sleep and how important it is to get enough sleep as a way to strengthen our immune systems. And you have some tips about how to prepare for bedtime to increase the chances that kids and adults, like I need this too, will get good sleep. So I was wondering if you could talk about what's the relationship between sleep and the immune system, and how do we set ourselves up to have a better night's sleep? Yeah, I mean, I think that, one thing you have to remember is our bodies have to downregulate. And the only way that you can heal your body is to allow it to sleep, because if it's continually going and producing, it can't heal itself, right? And for children, it can't grow. So I always tell my children, when you're sleeping, that's when you grow the most. So we need to sleep a lot, so you're going to grow and be tall. So I feel like that's so important. The biggest thing for kids right now are obviously devices, the phones, the iPads, the computers. Now they're on their computers from school. They're getting so inundated with fast pixels and everything that's happening. I think it does disturb the sleep. So I think really trying to get kids to read, just not on their programs, to read books, to color, to do those things that soothe the mind, helps them to get better, better sleep. Sometimes if your child has a hard time going to sleep, I definitely think, the warm bath, it's great to exercise in the evenings to get some of the energy out with them. So walking, after you've made dinner, I think those are good ideas. Using sometimes a little bit of melatonin helps with children to sleep. And melatonin has been shown to seems to be very effective with COVID. So that may be kind of a 1-2 punch to help with COVID too, to help children with that. So I do think it's really important to let their minds heal and let their bodies heal at night, so that you can fight off infections or anything that's going on.
Yeah, right. Because since there's not a lot of treatments yet, so it's more a matter of how do we either prevent infection or make ourselves as strong as we can, so that if we do unfortunately get infected, we can fight it off and hopefully avoid any serious consequences.
When you get sick, what do? You sleep. I mean, that's how you're tired, you lay down. That's how your body can heal, so that it can fight off these infections. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the next point I wanted to bring up, this is you make in the blog post, is that we can strengthen our immune systems by eating healthy foods. And this goes back to, what we talked about at the very beginning about, like system wide, we want children to have close to an ideal weight. And, that comes from good nutrition and making good choices. But in the blog post, you talk about, good nutrition that strengthens our immune system, and also like maintaining a healthy weight, that can avoid complications from coronavirus. So I was wondering if you could talk about how healthy snacks leads to these positive benefits that can help us stay safe during the pandemic.
Yeah, so we know that like if your blood sugar gets over like 250, your white blood cells can't function anymore, right? It's like the white blood cell, if you look underneath the scope, it looks like it's having a seizure. It can't function. So we want to try to keep, our blood sugars at a normal level, not too low, not too high, but at a normal level, and try to stay pretty consistent with that, and with kids and having tons of activities after school and all of that, we tend to run and grab fast food and do those things. And so I feel that we want to keep a steady blood sugar, for kids. So not having a lot of the sugary sweets. The other thing is you just got to think about their nutrients. Children are growing. They need lots of calcium, right? Because their bones are growing. It's kind of, magical how all of a sudden they're a foot tall and now they're 5 foot tall. Like, how did that happen? So we've got to make sure they're getting plenty of vitamin D. We know that, if they're outside in the sun, we coat them with sunblock, right? So they're not getting any vitamin D. So you want to supplement 1,000 milligrams, 500, 1,000 milligrams a day with the vitamin D. You want to make sure, especially girls, are getting plenty of calcium in their diet. So they're eating some yogurts. They can do, milk. I definitely kind of an organic, not organic. I kind of pick milk as one of those organic ones you should do. Non-hormone, growth hormone, no estrogens. Try to get a milk like that, and and yogurts like that too. I think that's very important. Grass-fed yogurts, as far as milk and yogurt for girls, for boys, the vitamin D. You can use the melatonin. We're seeing more and more young males that are more feminized than normal. They're kind of, and I think that's coming from a lot of our meats that have all the growth hormones. They have all the estrogen in them because, before a cow goes to market, they shoot them up with estrogen. So the cow bloats really, really big. And so they get more money for their meat. Okay. Well, all those hormones are in the meat, right? So trying to get meat that doesn't have that in it, I think, is very important. So the way we can fight that more naturally is to do the cruciferous vegetables, right? The broccolis, the cauliflowers, things they may not like, but you may be able to get them because vegetarianism is kind of big on the web, and on YouTube. Cruciferous vegetables. So we're talking about the broccolis, the Brussels sprouts, the cabbages, the cauliflowers really help to block estrogen production. So I think that's very important to make sure we have that for both females and males to prevent cancers, and to allow young men to produce testosterone properly. Because I see younger and younger ages, 20s and 30s, that don't produce testosterone anymore. So it's kind of a phenomenon we don't really understand. I think it's coming from all the meat and all the estrogen that they're getting. So those would be definitely some tips that I would suggest as far as nutrition. Something that we've found in our house through the pandemic when the kids weren't running to every sport known to man in our house is that we really enjoy cooking together. We, I'll get up in the morning and try to cut up the foods, and I'll just bag the vegetables or whatever we're going to eat. And then when we come home, we've really enjoyed cooking together. It's really kind of brought the family together, and each one will cook. Even my son now, he really thinks he's a big griller, and a big barbecuer. And, he's really enjoyed it. Hey, I can cook now. And the girls are like, no, you can't, so it's kind of funny. But kids really enjoy cooking. In the end, they can use that to make their lunches for the next day. I definitely would have lunches for kids. Don't eat the school food. I mean, it's just bad. One thing that we try to do in one row at our house that we'll cut up carrots, and I just have them as readily available as if they had to go in and get a potato chip out of it's got to be ready available. So we've got cut up carrots, we have some grapes, we've got our strawberries, everything they can run and literally just get it. We just prep it on the weekends. So it's so easy for them. They'll go and grab that because they don't even have to tear the bag open. It's even easier. All they got to do is open the door and grab whatever they want out of there. So, those are some good things to, ways to do it. Sugar-free popsicles. I think those are great too. It's really just getting the sugar out of the diet for kids. Sugar and fat. That's mostly what they eat, right? It's just sugar and fat. So we got to get the protein, good vegetables, and, doing some dips. A lot of kids like hummus. You can make the low-fat ranch dip. So maybe they'll eat the carrot if they have a little dip. That's a good way to do it, So those are just some different ideas that we utilize in the clinic with even our older adult weight loss patients, but definitely with kids, we stress that.
Yeah, but it sounds like it takes a little bit of planning, a little bit of prep, but it's a matter of like building up good habits and getting kids used to like, oh yeah, I'm going to grab the vegetables. Like they're already cut up. Right.
Yeah. Super easy. They can grab them and have a couple is great. Another activity that we do basically on Sundays before we go to each HEB, everybody picks a meal they would prefer to do and cook. So they each have kind of their favorite meals, and so then we, plan out what those foods are. And then we basically go to HEB. So Monday night it was tostadas with Cameron. She's going to cook that, and Ashton, he likes to go out. He prefers to grill food. So we did grilled chicken, you know what I mean? So you kind of have the food they like to cook and do, and they know that's their night to help and do it. So that was some fun things that we've just developed and continued to do now.
Yeah, well, these sounds like, the pandemic was so disruptive, but it did give us some space to create, new good habits. And it sounds like that if your kids are really into cooking now, like there's really no going back, once they have the power to fix the food that they like.
I got to get them into cleaning up after they cook. We got to get into that habit. That's like, oh my God, look at all of this stuff out here. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to add to the blog post some links. We've had some guest posts from Chef Dave Terrazas, and he calls it Foodie Classroom, and it's like healthy recipes that kids can make from home. I'll send you some links, but I'm going to add those to the blog post too, so that people can, when they get to the bottom of the post, they can find these other recipes. But it's like, imagine like a skewer. It's got like chunks of string cheese and cherry tomatoes on it. And, it's very attractive, and, it's healthy, and, even young kids can put the skewers together.
Yeah. And, olives and, to skewer those type of things, and artichokes. Like we make it's almost kind of like a keto salad. It's got artichokes, it's got olives, both green and black Kamala olives. It's got a little tomatoes. We could cut up some cucumbers, some bell peppers, a little bit of Paul Newman Italian seasoning, like a tablespoon, and we just mix that up. So that's a super easy salad. And then they can just take that in their lunch pail for the next day. So it works. It's not like fruit that gets all yucky sometimes during the day. And it has a lot of flavor. It's crunchy. So the kids love that, make a salad with, whatever vegetables that they like,
Yeah. No, it's something that kids, they can have a lot of fun with it. And I guess like part of the, my mission, like with, these guest posts and, with doing the chats and stuff is like, just to encourage parents to like, don't be intimidated by it. Just, start somewhere and just try. And like the snack suggestions you have in the post are so simple, but they're delicious, and it'll get kids, starting on good habits.
Right. Absolutely. So, just, I think keeping it simple and typically the best question to start with is just ask kids, what foods do you even like to eat? What do you like to eat? What, if you could cook anything you wanted to cook tonight, what would you want to cook? And then if they give you something outlandish, say, okay, well, how could we maybe make this a little healthier? And you know what they'll do? They'll go and get on their computers and research, how can I make buttermilk healthier? And they'll figure it out. There's so much information at your, right at your disposal, and the kids are so much faster than we are at it. And so they'll figure out a great recipe before you even get it, figured out how to get your phone on. So I think just challenge them in a way, like, how can we make this healthier? How do we do this? What is a calorie? What do you think this is? So those are great ways to, work on things.
Yeah, that is so important. This it's really important. Like, ask their opinion, let them speak up, and give them, they have these tools. They know how to do. Yeah, they're better than I am at online research. So they'll go out there and find it.
More cooking shows than I've ever watched in my whole lifetime growing up. So they know how to cook. They watch them. They watch Young Chefs. They watch, Top Chefs. All of those shows they're watching. They watch all the YouTubers who are cooking all the time. They can make anything. You just let them, get with it and empower them. Like, how can we make this better? How can you help me be healthier? And I think when you really empower kids, it makes them feel good about themselves. They already know everything anyways, so you might as well let them do it and tell you how to get all of this done.
That's
they
right.
they're great. They're great about it.
Yeah, yeah, and then we, as parents, we feel better because we know that they're healthier, and if whatever's out there in the world, whatever infectious diseases are out there, they will have a strong immune system and they'll be able to fight it off. That's
Yeah, absolutely. And learn how to cook, because one day,
yeah,
they're going to be gone, and you want them to know how to prepare and cook food so that they will continue with that.
yeah. Be healthy, save money, and just enjoy
Yeah,
it. It's an important part of life. Like we have to
yeah,
eat, but we might as well make it like healthy and enjoyable.
yeah. Make it taste good. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's one last tip that you had in your blog post, and that's about staying hydrated. And one thing I've noticed when I go out with my kids, like we might go to the botanical garden, but they still have like pink tape over the drinking fountains. So we
Right.
have to be creative. Or like I was visiting a school the other day, and they still had the water bottle filler, but the drinking fountain was closed. So you had to be sure that your kids brought their water bottles with them.
Right. And I think, the main thing is, yeah, having a water bottle all the time is great. Having the bottle is great for our environment, so we're not throwing away consumables all the time. But I think the biggest thing with water bottles is just making sure how they're made, the chemicals in the water bottle. So you don't want anything that has the BPH in it. A lot of times you can look at the bottom of the bottle and it'll tell you, about it. Also, if they're heating it, you don't want, because especially if you have those chemicals in it and then they're heating it or they're laying out in the sun, it's leaching into their water, which that's a part of all of the kids getting too much estrogen now. It all comes from that, right? And so using metal or those types of bottles are going to be, there you go, are going to be better than some of the others. So you just have to be real careful with kind of that cheaper plastic one. You just want to use the other. And that's true too. When you go to the store and you buy all the plastic bottles and then you put the plastic bottles in your trunk and then you go do things for 5 hours and all those bottles have heated up, you're leaching all of that estrogen promoting product into that water that everybody in your family is drinking. So you just have to be really, really careful with that. Just get the water out of the fountain at home and put it in your bottle, and you'll save a lot of money too. Even though we drink the water all the time, but yeah. So I think that's the main thing. But definitely, you always want to stay hydrated. Always use the example: you can have a plant; it's still alive, but it's wilting because it doesn't have water. And then 24 hours, you put it, and it's back up and it's perked up. So your cells need water; they have to have water to function. Your kidneys especially need water. And when you're trying to lose weight, to have your liver and kidney to flush out the fat, you have to have fluid. So, we tell our patients, the more you're urinating in a day, the more fat you're losing. So really, really, really hydrate.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm a big fan of the tap water and what the sanitary water system does. If you ever get a chance to visit like their desalination plant on the south side, it's fascinating.
No, I bet.
Yeah, they do a lot to keep our water supply safe. So we don't really need to buy the stuff in the plastic bottles if it's it's good stuff coming out of the filler. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, okay. These have been just great tips. Like, it's the kind of thing where I feel like I get distracted a lot, but reading a blog post like this is a great reminder, and it reminds me to like make little changes and like change little habits, because like it's maybe it may seem like too much to tackle all at once, but if you just like try something like every week, try a new habit and try to make it stick, and those little changes can really add up over time. As far as like drinking water instead of drinking sodas, like it makes a big difference over time.
Oh, it's a huge difference, and I think really to try to be healthy, it's a conscious effort to be healthy. If you kind of start the week on Monday and you don't have your food planned, you're behind the 8 ball, and it could probably be a disaster. But if you can really start, Saturday or Sunday and take 1 or 2 hours, think about what you're going to eat, get it prepped, man, the week goes so much smoother as far as making your lunches, as far as having your meals. I think it de-stresses everything, because then you're not feeling guilty because you're cooking bad. You're not feeling horrible because you've been eating fast food for 3 days. You're not gaining weight, which makes you feel worse. So by the next weekend, you felt so good, and you've already got everything cooked and prepped. I just think that's the most important thing you probably can do right now with the whole COVID is buy healthy foods and try to have everything prepped and ready to go for the beginning of the week, especially for all the working moms and dads, and that are all trying to do so much right now, trying to keep their kids healthy, but yet trying to keep their kids socially integrated, trying to get them back into sports. It's so hard. It's so time consuming. It was like, and I think my daughter was making light of it. We were sitting at the table last night because one of our friends was having a birthday, and she goes, I just think being a mom, that's just like the easiest thing in the world, and I was kind of looking at her like, what? And she goes, look, all you got to do is you just tell people, do this and do that and do this and do that. And I said, but the problem is you don't ever do that, what I tell you. And then I still have to end up doing it. Plus I wasted an hour trying to get you to do it, And then of course everybody was laughing. But I just that little bit of planning and thinking about what you want to eat for your meals, prepping those in the morning so that you get home and you're tired and everything's happened. You can just throw it. There's times when I'll get up in the morning, I'll go ahead and have kind of my chicken and rice, or I'll already have it ready so that when my daughter is home at 4:30, I tell her, go ahead and just put it in the oven. So then when I get home, the food is ready, right? And we've already, hey, just get the salad out and let's get the salad. So we're ready, we're ready to go. I think if you can get that done in the morning, it just makes it so much easier and a easier flow for you, when you get home in the evening.
Yeah. One thing we did last year was, and I'm looking at it because I'm at my kitchen table. We have like you can buy this like roll of like whiteboard stuff, but it comes in a roll. So it's kind of like contact paper, but you stick it on the wall. So I made this kind of board on the wall, and it's just a stick on stuff. And right, we have a bunch of markers, and we write on there what's for dinner, and then it facilitates having a conversation about it, like you said, about like, hey, this is because I get questions a lot, like, what's for dinner? I'm like, go look at the board. It's right up there.
Yeah, exactly.
But like it gets everyone thinking, and like I'm the one who does the order from the, like, so we do like a produce share, but it includes the grass-fed meats, right? So I know what's coming and what's going to be in the freezer, and then my husband, he's in charge of Whole Foods and getting the deliveries from there, and we can coordinate. But you're right, like that element of planning it just sets up the whole week to go better as far as eating healthy, having less stress, and then if we know that the meals are organized, then we can deal with all the other things that we're trying to solve.
That are going to come up, or maybe you can go exercise. Maybe you can exercise or walk as a family. Kids love to walk and be outside. So you finish eating. Hey, let's go walk, clean it up, and just try to make it. Try to make it easier. I love the crock pot. I think the crock pot's awesome. Put it on in the morning. Put it on low. It's ready. Ready to go in the evening. The house smells great. You've got the roast cooking. I think that's a great way, especially I think the crock pot is really, when we talk about it in the clinic, is really a great way when you have shifts of eating at night. So you have somebody that needs to eat at 5, and you need somebody that eats at 6, because then they get home at 6, and now you got, your teenager is coming home at 8 and needs to eat. The crock pot is great because they can go over, dip it out, and it can shift work it. Right. And you're not continually having to reheat and heat it up. Right. So I think the crock pot is an awesome way to cook.
Because that is real life. Is that not everyone's necessarily sitting down at the same time?
Work mealing plan at nighttime. The crock pot is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you are a wealth of knowledge. Like there's great stuff in the blog post. I feel like there's even more like, there's like real life, tips that you've got here in the chat. So
I've got a crew. So I got so yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always like to close out with, give you a chance to offer final thoughts and just, I'm going to put up like how people get a hold of you. I'm wondering like how, one of the things you mentioned in your blog post is like encouraging people, to ask if they have questions, ask their family doctor, and if you have tips, do you have tips about like, how to bring up those questions and, how to have a good communication and good relationship with your family doctor?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is when when you come in and and you have questions. Right now, I can say, every day it changes. Like if you'd have asked me last week, I thought Johnson and Johnson was great. Now this week, I'm like, oh, I don't know if we should be doing the Johnson and Johnson. Let's wait on it. So it changes as we're learning, especially about COVID. I mean, but I think that, coming in and being prepared and having your questions, what do you think about this? What do you think about the Moderna as far as COVID goes? I think they're all reasonable, reasonable questions. And I think anytime, you come in, when you come to the doctor, just knowing your health history is probably the most important thing. So if you have that written down, this is when I had this and this and this, and this is the testing that I've done, this and this and this, here's my medications that I have. The 20 minutes of trying to pull all of that out is over with one glance with the doctor. Now you can spend more time on what your problem is, not us trying to be an investigator to figure out things. I think that for me as a physician, that makes for a much better visit. So I can really concentrate on what your needs are, not trying to put together the picture if you've already got the picture and what testing you've done. And I think another big thing is now where there's a lot of EMRs, which makes it nice. So you can really see what your history and data is in the electronic medical record. But especially for the family practice doc and the internal medicine doc, we're supposed to be the hub, right? And then you have all these other specialists and doctors that have all their other ideas that we don't hear from a lot of times. When you go and see a specialist, ask for, can I get a copy of that note? Can I get a copy of that lab today? Because when you bring that back into me and I can see it, man, that makes a world of difference. Because then I know what their thinking was for you in that situation. That really, really, really helps. And I try to get my patients, we give everybody a folder when you come into our center to keep your information in, but get a 3-ring binder. Put, here's all my lab tests. Here's all my health history. Here's all my medications that you can take with you anywhere you go. And your family members know where it is, because when you get in a situation, man, it's great to have that. And of course, a lot of people do it on their phone now too. You can put a lot of your health history in there in emergency situations too. But I think just having that and gathering your data makes for such a better office visit for any physician. I know especially myself. Yeah.
It's really helpful to hear it from the doctor's perspective, and I can see, and I think, but being efficient that way, then it makes the patient feel less frustrated, because then they feel like if they're spending less time sharing about their medical history, then there's more time for them to ask their questions and for you to explain, right, and give thorough answers. Because I think that's the complaint I hear sometimes is like it's like everything's in a rush and there's never enough time. But what you're saying is like there's ways to maximize the time and be prepared and communicate well about the medical history.
Right. Because there's only so much a doctor can take in. There's kind of a point you kind of just get overloaded when you're trying to synthesize. I know for myself, I'm like thinking da 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 to try to come up with an answer. And there's just so much you can do at one visit. I mean, when you have 5 or 10 different complaints, we're going to go with the one we feel like could hurt you the most, or is the most important to tackle. So we're going to start with that one. But if we already know you've already had the CT scan, you've already had all of this workup, then I'm not thinking I need to do any of this workup. But even the next step would be if you had the workup and knew what the results were of the workup. Now we're really getting
put it in the EMR.
Yeah. So that makes it awesome.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, you've shared wonderful information. I'm really glad to have the blog post on the site. This video is going to be embedded in that, so people can catch up and watch it, and get the extra information like about crock pots and water bottles and grass-fed meats and all that good stuff. But I'm wondering, how do people get a hold of you and your team?
Yeah, so you can go, this is our website link here, drrogerscenters.com, and you can basically go through there, and it comes into our system, and then, we try to call you back or text you, and, can always make an initial appointment. We're really known for our weight loss. We have a patient advocate. If you have questions about our weight loss, we can see if you qualify for insurance to help you with weight loss, which they are starting to pay for some of them, or it is a cash pay option. So you can put, if you go to our website, I'm interested in primary care. If you're needing a primary care, if you're needing your pelvic and PAPs, your well woman exams, we do that. We do a lot of hormone replacement therapy. Also, we do joint rejuvenation. So I do believe in, plasma rich products that help to heal the joint, and amniotic products. We use those. We use stem cells. And then we have a med spa that does all the fun stuff too. So, we have a little bit of everything here to try to help our patients just have a great experience and to enjoy wellness. Complete. I think people like our clinic. It's very holistic. We try to look at the whole person when we try to treat.
I think, health impacts our well-being every day. And I know I can't work, and I can't take care of my kids. I can't, do the things that are important to me unless I'm feeling well. And so that's why, like, all these little steps, like, staying hydrated, having healthy foods ready to grab, all those things, help set me up to be healthy, but it's really important to have, like, expert help from doctors, so that, if there's another concern, then and the aesthetics, right? Because as moms, like, we're getting older, so
I know,
we should feel good about ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You better believe it. Yeah. The fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation. I'm so thankful for the guest post and for your time, and I hope this, raises awareness and, helps families be healthier, and to, they can still get out and enjoy life, and knowing that they have a strong immune system, and they'll be able to, they'll be prepared for whatever comes at them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been great. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.